Hi, my name is Catherine Baird. I am the CEO and founder of EthicsGame and co-creator of the ethics simulation core values that you and your colleagues will be completing this semester. I'd like to take this opportunity to give you a brief introduction to core values to show you the various features so that you're able to be successful in this venture. So without further ado, let me share my screen and we will go on our adventure. As we go into the dashboard, you notice that we have the listing of the course. Any course you have taken with EthicsGame will show up on your dashboard. If you click on core values, you will be taken to the home page. The home page changes every week with every assignment, giving you additional information about what is in that assignment and how best to complete it. We'll go into the final quarterly results in a bit, but I'd first like to start with the information under the company tab. The first place we go is to the library. This gives you all the information you need to complete each assignment successfully. We have our guides for communication. These tell you what is required for each of the various kinds of communication. For example, if we look at the inter-office memo, we can see that it wants to have a background of a problem, statement of decision, a reason for the decision, and a forward-looking conclusion. We also give you a sample memo so you get a flavor for what a good ethics memo might look like. Also in the library are guides for each of the ethical lens assignments. It turns out that there are 4 different ways that people have approached ethical decision-making over the past several thousand years. The rights and responsibilities lens focuses on duties and principles. What would an individual claim and use as the duties that they have to fulfill as they look at the problem they have? The results procedure manual focuses on our goals and asks us to contemplate what kind of consequences we would be willing to suffer as a result of our decision. The relationship procedure manual focuses on justice, making sure those without voice or access to resources are considered. The reputation procedure lens focuses on the virtues that are required for each of our roles, what counts for ethical excellence. And then the balanced view process takes a look at combining all 4 of those into one assignment. Now, each of these lenses can be used in a variety of cases. And so we have various topics that business majors come across as they are doing their work. Conflicts of interest, vendor customer, corporate social responsibility, international issues, employees' rights. As we click on one of these manuals, you can see that it provides you background into that particular context, that particular business setting that helps you understand how we deal with ethics within that framework. Okay, and then the last thing we have in our library is information on the companies, an employee handbook, and financial information. And this again provides you any background information you would want to find as you are going through these problems. They're in somewhat different places because in any company, various process manuals and procedure manuals hang out in different places in the organization. The next place we're going to look at is the directory. This gives you a listing of all the students in your class, tells you what their position is, and if you wish to contact them, you have their email address. Your faculty member is general counsel and will be shepherding the entire process. The background of the company gives you some information about this little tiny company, biotech company making sports goods and sports drinks and nutrition supplements. Each division has a different kind of a product that it makes. They work with different populations. And so when you go into the results lens, you look at people that are going to be impacted by the decisions, the different audiences become very important. From there, we go to the break room. Now, this is an opportunity for you to talk with each other if you should choose to do so. You can post information about current cases, ethical dilemmas, news items that might relate to the problems that you are solving, or just reach out to each other to see what you're doing and how you're doing in this assignment. Finally, we have reflections. Reflections become the place where you think about the decisions that you made. So, for example, if we go into the case of a clever bid, we have the assignment itself, we have the options, and then we have two people who thought about how this assignment worked. Did they like the lens? Did they like the approach? Were they content with the way it all turned out at the end? And the reflections is the very important last step to any ethical decision process. When you look into your reflections, you can say, what was I comfortable with? What do I need to study more? Where was I not so happy with how I responded to the situation? What did I do really well? And that begins to build capacity for doing even better the next time you have a decision. Well, now that we've looked at all the parts underneath the company home, I know you're asking me, how do I know what I'm supposed to do and when? If you go over to the due dates, you will get a listing of all the assignments, the dates they're going to be posted, their due, and when you need to give information critiquing each other. If you go to your inbox, you will get your specific assignments. You can see what you completed, when you completed them, and if they are not complete, you will not have this little green mark by them, but you will have your due date next to it. Note that we use Central Time Zone for our date for completion, and that if it is late under Central Time Zone, that you're assessed a 15% drop in your sales. This feature reflects what happens in real life when members of a team do not keep their bargains and do not meet their timelines. The entire team suffers, the entire company suffers. So with that, let's go into the division to see the assignments as they are posted. Your division page will give you the assignments that everybody in the class has posted, so you'll be able to see the work that folks have done. Let's go into the case of the overseas helpers. In this one, you'll see the memo that Joseph posted that tells him what he decided and why he decided it. If you wanted to have a deeper dive into his thinking, you could click on the little blue link there, and you would see his entire analysis and how he began to reason through this particular decision process. If you want to provide a critique, you can click on your critique button down here, and you'll have the opportunity to leave a response, whether you liked it or didn't like it, how many stars you gave it. This feature helps you read each other's work, be aware of the decisions each other has given, but also give each other really thoughtful feedback in terms of whether the way they communicated the decision was effective. The most important task in ethical decision making is, in fact, communication of your final decision. You have to not only say what you're doing, but why you're doing it. What are the ethical principles? What are the ethical values that are in play in the decision process? Okay, so with that, we then can take a look at the financials. As we go into the financials, we see that they are laid out like a P&L, a stripped down P&L to give a flavor for the kinds of financial information you would see in a business. The decision we have made is that each member of the team can contribute equally to the success of the company. And so even though sometimes people think that only sales and marketing drive revenue, in fact, every part of the organization is important for that revenue. You've got your cost of sales, you've got your expenses, interest, but the most important part for our consideration is our profit line. Talking with various CEOs in manufacturing, I found out that often if you've got profits of above 18 to 20%, you are doing that at the expense of your employees by not paying them enough, or you're doing that at the expense of reinvesting in your company. It's important to make sure that your equipment stays up to date, you put enough money into marketing and sales and all the different functions to guarantee success for the long haul. If the profit is less than about 9 to 10, 8%, 8 to 9%, it shows that you are not paying attention to the needs of the shareholders and that you are not running an effective and efficient enough company. And so what we do is we target this between 18 and 8%, depending on the quality of the ethical decision making. If we go up to the scorecard, you can see what everybody did. So in this particular case, you've got the case of the porous borders, the case of the overseas helpers. You've got when in Rome, overseas suppliers. And you'll notice for each of these, you've got the values intention for the problem. You've got the decision the person made, and you've got points. The points range from 6 to 10. 10 points means you made a very ethical decision and you were looking forward into the future, that this decision could be systemic, it could be applied again, the reasons you gave could be applied again, and it will provide the foundation for really walking the talk and modeling ethical behavior. 8 is a perfectly ethical decision, but it's not as strong in terms of influencing ethical decisions in the future, and it can give itself some room for controversy. Each of the decisions has financial implications. Quick karma is the part that drives people the craziest. With quick karma, you have something that happens completely outside of your control. A lot of students get upset because they say that they should have control over their assignment. But what's true in real life is that we have things that happen all the time that we don't have control over. Just imagine being a business owner when COVID broke out in March 2020. If you were providing goods and services, you had to figure out how you're going to do that when people are quarantined. If you have people in your office, how are you going to get them set up at home? Those of you who were in classes know that you had to scramble in order to figure out how to deliver classes, how to get your classes, and how to move into a completely different environment. Those of us in business took financial hits as we began to adjust to that new reality, a new reality that none of us could have even prepared for. And that's what quick karma is designed to replicate in terms of what the real world is. Okay, and then we have the division background for your particular division. The important part for this one is taking a look at your employees and taking a look at your products. When you get into the results lens, you're going to be asked to estimate how many employees are going to be impacted, how many customers are going to be impacted, and this gives you a little bit of information that helps you do that. All right, the next question you're going to ask me now is, this is all good and fine, but how do I actually answer these questions? So for that one, I'm going to take you into my own website, into my own page, and show you what faculty see as we answer these questions. I'm going to go into my resources. I'm going to go into listing the dilemmas. So you can see that as we have each of these assignments, we have 5 different assignments for each of these ethical topics. Each branch of a company has a slightly different place that they have to interact with this material and with these issues. And so as we provide different assignments, you're able to see how those work. If I click on Moonlighting Assignment, we're taken through the assignments, and then at the bottom of the page, we see our worksheets. These are the worksheets that you will see. You'll see that this one has 5 of them. You've got a statement about your problem. You've got instructions to fill it out, and here you go. As you fill these out, it's important to click the Save Work buttons at the bottom of the page. If you do not click it, your work will not be saved. You can save it and then come back and finish editing this page or change the page. You can do any of that up until the time you click the final save button at the end of the game. If you want to know what each of these are, you can click on these and you'll find out things like, this is what an ethical actor is. And this will help you get information about each of the pieces of the assignment, finding out the definitions within ethics literature and getting some more information about how to finish and how to complete the assignments. And so you complete these little boxes, and then you go into your next page. And then at the end, this all comes together in that essay you saw when you click on the Here button in the division box. So that's basically how you work your way through core values. As you begin to answer each of these questions, remember to use all of the resources that you have to get a deeper dive into the content to make sure you understand the problem. Each of these ethical perspectives has a different way of looking at the problem. different criteria for making good ethical decisions, and a different process for analyzing the decision. You'll be using the framework of the Baird decision model, but within that, there are different things you have to consider. At the end, you will have what we call ethical agility, the ability to answer questions from different points of view, answer questions using different ideas, different criteria for ethical excellence. Please remember, we're here to help. If you have any questions, reach out to the team at gamemaster@ethicsgame.com, and may you have a great time working your way through core values. Thank you.